Hey, how's it going? Um, I pulled some cards, but I wanted to talk about um, I think like the reaction of people in the wake of the attempt, and I got my attention caught by something this morning, or not this morning, this afternoon, but it has to do with Morning Joe, which I have not been watching that much because I don't like the election coverage where it's just like I like the show because it like begins and it ends at a certain time. Like I don't just like the ongoing 24-hour. It's everything is breaking news. And it's like, nah, you've been repeating the same thing for 4 hours. Nothing's breaking. Sorry, just a personal peeve. But I had not been watching it because I will sometimes in the morning just because I can get like news from there. And then sometimes I just get sort of sucked into the Joe and Mika show. Joe just like launches into these speeches and what have you and just rambles, and sometimes he gets like upset about things and that's interesting to watch. He is very dramatic, but I guess lawyers and politicians are actors of a sort, and he has a show now so he can live that dream. Well, he's had a show on MSNBC for quite a while, which is another reason why this is kind of a little strange. So I guess the major networks are owned by people on the right, which means the news divisions of networks are gonna unfortunately have a certain shade, a certain tone that they lean toward. And that's too bad that you can't have like just a news agency that doesn't, like, you have reporters on there and maybe some of them are like, oh, just going down this line is just fine with me, like saying these statements and regardless of their veracity, or they're basically propaganda arms, like pretty much news agencies. I don't know if they were always that. I guess probably gotta massage the public, make sure they're doing and thinking the right things. And so anyway, Joe Scarborough was a Republican congressman, I believe, and then he retired and he had a show called Scarborough Country. I tried to watch it a couple of times, and it was just like angry Republicans screaming and yelling about the left, basically. And that may not be true. He may have been talking about actual news items, but like I said, the tone of it, I was like, no thanks. I didn't watch it. And then I guess I don't know how long later he had Morning Joe, and on that show is his co-host and a few other regulars, Willie Geist and what is Barnacle's name? Steve Barnicle? I don't know. There's one host that's on there. He's been there since the beginning, but he's not on there every day. I apologize. If let me write it down. Let me see if I can remember to get his name right. How about having the ball out? There we go. Get Barnacle's name right. Or they'll have like what's his name, Reverend Al a lot. They have their people, their regulars, and so Mika is Zbigniew Brzezinski's daughter, and he was like I believe he was Polish American, but from like Poland, and then he immigrated here. So he had like a kind of, I kind of had a hard time for years understanding his accent. I don't know if my ear got better or if his English did over the years, but even towards the end, I'd be like, wait, what? So anyway, he wasn't native to the United States, but he was a citizen, is what I'm saying. And so his daughter, he was like a Democrat, a strategist, advisor, something. But I always thought like he was very intelligent. You know, he was an older guy to most of the like politicians, like in I guess whatever 70s, 80s, 90s. Um, and then like I just feel like you get a better education in Europe anyway, so that makes a difference. And he was older, and being European, he just would have seen like more like action over there. More things happen quickly, or they, I don't know, like study some history. Europe, like 30s, 40s, and all of that, wars and things. It was quite a mess. What am I rolling on? I don't know, but it feels like I'm on something. Oh, the brake is on. Never mind. So, what I'm saying is Mika, excuse me, is a lefty, basically. Pretty much like Democrat. I would even go so far as to say, not as a pejorative, but just to kind of classify where I think she is status-wise, as like a Democrat and a person that's on the television that can propagandize for Democrats. I think she's an elite of the Democrats because like her father worked with the upper echelons or whatever. And so like that's her deal. She's not a progressive, but she's maybe a little left of the middle. And so let me just read this. All right. They took out Joe and Mika and the tide turning. I've been asking no one in particular since 2017, are people at all turning away from Trump and MAGA yet? For years, the answer was no. Now, in 2024, is the tide finally turning? Or is it starting to turn? Let's see. The MAGA movement has been gaining momentum since its inception and is in a constant state of flux. And the telephone game has steadily been changing and turning its message or messages, degrading them with each generation so that it lacks clarity and cohesion, it being the message, whatever it would happen to be. And by telephone game, if you're not familiar, that's when a statement originates somewhere and then so many people repeat it to so many other people that in the process of that, all of that transition, it gets changed. Like people change words, the emphasis gets changed. They don't understand the context that it was said in the first place, so the context changes. And like I said, the messages that they're trying to talk about get all messed up. And so not sure if it's an inability to comprehend and articulate the party lines in any kind of detail that makes sense. They can state, certainly, wait a second, what the hell? The party lines that blah, blah, blah. Not sure if it's they can state with certainty, can explain to another. Oh, they can't explain with certainty. Can't explain to one another if necessarily. Or they can't understand the message or defend it. That's what I'm trying to say. Because they can't say what it is. They don't know. Like maybe they could have been right the next person that the originating statement came from. Like they do a lot of research, but then like they don't know stuff. So I don't know what that's about. Because if faced with a MAGA, I'd like to know if the appeal. Oh, I'd like to know the appeal and why of the MAGA for them. Generally, I don't see that defender. Huh? Oh, I don't see that defend. It must be, I don't see that defender. The sensical persuasion that might move me to their position. In fact, when pressed, the average reaction pivots to taunts and insults, only persuading me that they got nothing to defend their position, or fanaticism of Trump worship. I gotta repeat that, I think. I don't see that defender, the sensical persuasion that might move me to their position. In fact, when pressed, the average reaction pivots to taunts and insults, only persuading me that they got nothing to defend their position, or fanaticism of Trump worship that they want to say. They definitely have a position, but they don't want to just come out and say. And you know why? Because then they can say, I'm not a racist, but like it is totally racist. Like, it's the whichever people. I promise you. Because that, I think, is a lot of why they can't articulate what they think their message is. Because if you hear it unadulterated, it's pretty racist. I don't know how they think they're not, but they haven't not been properly racisted on themselves because they don't get it. That's just my opinion, but I really think I'm right about that. Where was I? Okay, so from their fanaticism of Trump worship, of a man who got people who used to pride themselves for being law-abiding and God-fearing, as if the fear of God is a virtue. That's so messed up, the fearing part. But yeah, the formerly law-abiding, God-fearing, upright citizens, the good guys, they would tell you that previously. They might still tell you they're the good guys. I don't know if I concur. In fact, I'm pretty sure I don't. Now, these qualities have been massaged and the definitions changed, so seduced by a now convicted felon, patronizer of a known pedophile with some nasty personal habits, and an open dodger of federal laws. That's their guy. but like, it's completely contradictory to the law-abiding, God-fearing, upright citizen. Like, that's the dichotomy that's there. the dichotomy is just there. Who is so completely flipped the former morality of these same that they seemingly don't see how they are now cheerleaders for a lot of behaves that they once thought of as criminal. They now think are fine. It's fine. But does thought then fade into action? Not in a way recognizable to me, but I'm not taken in by Republicans, Trump, or MAGA. It just doesn't appeal to me. I do have an interest in them and would really like to see them be the people on the right, minus all the name and blame calling. If there's a definitive difference between the MAGA Republicans, is the favor for those attributes and little else of substance, by which I mean policy, that positively affects Americans, regardless of party affiliation. I feel like for either party, I feel little for either party, but at least the left produces useful public policy for many. I prefer this over the punitive legislation that either hurts with deliberation some and for others that enjoy those kinds of points being scored against people. I think it's going after people, and I think that sucks. What does any of this have to do with the host of MSNBC's morning show? A show viewed by both parties? Perhaps some background is in order. Mika is the daughter, I already talked about that, of Zbigniew Brzezinski, and Joe was a Republican congressman. The pair of co-hosts eventually left their respective spouses. Joe left the Republican Party, and I guess now he's an independent. What I call the pretend party. Because you still gotta vote for it. I mean, never mind. No, I'm not gonna talk about that yet right now. But yeah, the pair of co-hosts eventually left their respective spouses and married. Interesting that, as an inadvertent demonstration of the two opposing ideologies meeting in the middle of their beliefs and forming a union, there's a lesson in that. That it can be done. People that were in opposing ideologies can find love. Oh my God. You know what else? They could probably find friendship too. Imagine. Or remember, you could do that too. Either way, both work. A new synthesis was built. Mika was always a Dem of the upper echelons. Joe became an independent because he could neither stomach nor still call himself a Republican after it was clear that even if they didn't subscribe to MAGA, they would fall in line behind Trump anyway. I like that, but he was as noxious once. But people can and do change. Don't despair, and believe change for the better is possible. Possible, yes, and not only for that two, or they two. Part of that evolution is invisible. Not on camera like the co-hosts for the world to see in their televised moments. It's not the totality of their experience. It's not the totality of their experience, but not everyone needs to know their private moments. But Joe especially is an avatar of what a pretty remarkable shift looks like. And Joe Scarborough will leave no dearth of remarks. He's a chatty guy, is what I'm saying. Ask Mika if she can get a word in. Both are friends and former colleagues of Joe Biden. And I think that as election day nears and what I see as desperation in the form of aggression ramps up, no thank you. After the attempt, Trump jumped up and chanted, "Fight!" And then he and the assembled egged each other on in the wake of the literal near miss. The first thought was to keep stirring the pot. Like, you just almost got your stupid head blown off and you're like, let's just start more trouble. I feel giving lie to the reports of Trump and Biden having a conversation about lowering the temperature of the rhetoric, which, no, I don't think that's a thing. Anyway, where's the next sentence? Oh, nothing that sounded a whit like turning down the tension and the rhetoric that is inciting his followers, who are then, after the same perceived grievances have been seated, and they're primed to attack Trump's stated enemies. This isn't speculation. It's recorded, witnessed history. January 6th, etc. Etc. There's no K in etc. It all amounts to an additional stressor in an anxiety layer cake. It's something felt by many in the U.S. It's likely felt beyond the borders of the U.S. It's the runoff fumes from all of our... Well, we're making our way through change, is what it is. So, the reason that Joe and Mika, or Morning Joe, got taken off, the reason that the reporter that I saw talking about it was given was that the higher-ups at the network were worried that someone in... I want to say cast, but it's not, you know, the regulars on the show, and that would be Joe and Mika and Willie Geist, and then Barnicle. What the heck is his first name? He's not on like every day, but he's been there almost he's there like every week at least on the show since the beginning. And Reverend Al Sharpton is on there pretty often. And then there's just other people that come and go that, you know, whatever, they fill up a seat and talk. And so, like I said, the networks are owned, or if I might not have said it because I talking and thought the camera was on, and it was not. So let me say again, apparently the major networks, television networks, are owned by conservative right-wing people. And that means what comes out of the shows, regardless of whatever the reporters or anchors may feel about the information being given, is their job. So they got to do what the boss says, and if the boss doesn't want them talking about certain things, then they won't be allowed to. So Joe, like I said, was formerly a colleague of Joe Biden, and they became friendly, and then Mika would know him because of her Democratic personhood status. And when, after the debate, it's weird that I think this, but I really think this might be the case. I think that they started saying too many bad things about Joe Biden's performance, which really everyone like lost their minds. It was just one performance in one debate, and like I said before, if you're all of a sudden now going to start thinking that he shouldn't be the guy because he's too old, well, that was not my concern. I never chose him anytime he ran, Joe Biden. He's doing like a good job. I guess if you're comparing him to Trump, but you know, he has done a lot of things that, you know, it's not really that hard to find out the truth of. And like the MAGA people have been conditioned that all of the news that they don't agree that is okay to look at is fake. Well, I would have to say that's probably very well true of whatever they're watching as well. I watch far less of right-wing news than I used to. I almost entirely, it's relegated to clips at this point because it's so just nasty. Like, you just feel awful after listening to all of the anger and, you know, harsh remarks. It's just, blech. So, I just don't watch it that much anymore. But, well, I like I said, the owners of those networks are going to be like on the right, but they still might not want their host to be talking bad about the actual president, even though he's not a Republican. The other thing is that he's not held back. Pretty much nobody holds back about Trump, but in the wake of the attempt, I think somebody got sensitive at the top and was like, you guys are gonna, and I think it was like Joe and Mika. I don't think it was any of the guests, you know, I think it was the hosts, because they get to speak the longest, they get to say whatever they want, almost unedited, you know. I know there's people continually in their ears, if you're not aware of this. There's like almost like a handler, like you making sure you don't say a wrong thing, or, you know, direct you to something, or correct you, like whatever it is, but there is somebody monitoring you and your performance. which sounds incredibly oppressive, but anyway, that's what they do. So it may just be that there's just an overabundance of caution for anything to be said on the network, but the fact that they took down the whole show and didn't just like remove a host or guest, like, I just feel like there's more going on. So I do wonder about when are people going to notice that the emperor has no clothes, basically. And that's a reference to a children's book called The Emperor Has No Clothes. Maybe you can find it, but since it's talking about people that would be like naked with no clothes, it's probably like in a pile of char somewhere, ashes. I don't know. Oh, I forgot to ask you to please take a look at my signs, because this is opinion commentary. It is not the end of the world. I am literally like nobody. So definitely get mad at me if you want to, but whatever I'm saying is not going to have much of an effect on the world. So just, let's just keep that in mind. But like I said, since almost immediately after he was initially elected, I'm like, are you sick of him yet? Do you get it yet? Do you get it yet? It's like, no. It's, in fact, the love is accelerating. It's strange to me. Okay, so now I'm gonna do my cards. I pulled some cards from the Shaman's Dream Oracle deck. I'm just going to lay them out here so you can look at what I laid out before I start talking. And I have the handy tripod that actually behaves like a handle so I can give you a glimpse. Cool? Okay. So this, whoa, do not fall off of there. That is the spread that I laid out. These 5. Okie dokie. So the first one is Drifter. Experiencing life as it comes. I've been talking a lot about not going against the flow because it just impedes your progress. Or let me put it this way. When you don't go against the flow, have you ever been to a water park and you get on the big slide and they tell you, keep your heels up, keep your legs lifted up, and then, like, I have physical issues, so my legs never can stay up all the way down, and I just end up, like, well, you're already in the water, so it's just not a beautiful landing, and it's the weirdest thing, like, when I do it. People always are like, oh, like I screwed up. It's my slide. It's my ride. I'm not here performing for you. But my point is if you can, like, keep your legs up, you do, like, it's like a sort of inverted dive situation. Like, you get shot out. Obviously, well, I suppose you could go head first, but I don't know if they let you do that. But you go shooting out, like, feet first, dive, jump, I don't know. Well, anyway, but if you don't, it's just like, I don't know how better to explain that. But you're definitely not going with the flow. You're like, running into it and clashing and, like, almost pretty much coming to a halt. Because another thing I learned is because you're slowed way down when that happens too. And the other thing is get the heck out of the way, because somebody else's feet are coming flying at you. I have stuff everywhere. Stop falling. Now is not the time. So I feel like right now the water's choppy. There's likely some debris in the water that you might bump into and knock flying in, and it doesn't bother you at all. or it may completely stop you because it's not debris. It's actually a big rock that's rooted to the ground, the floor of the stream bed that you're drifting on, and you just smack into it and it doesn't give. And that's unpleasant. That's definitely impeding your progress of flow. So, the subtitle on this is Experiencing Life as It Comes. It's almost like everything is so unpredictable right now. You really do have to kind of go boneless and just let the water work you around the obstacles, and don't stiffen and resist is all I could say. Like, just as best you can, if you're really bothered by straight up stuff people are saying, or just the energies, because those are pretty hardcore too. Like, they have a flow all of their own, and the content of their stream has been intense. So let me come back to that. And that's the number it's the number 14 card. 5 and 1 is 5, and 5 signifies change. So that was some change talking. Okay, and then speaking of change, changing yourself, changing your mind, changing your ideology. Oh my gosh. Massive change. In fact, you pretty much have to just like hit the wall, break the old paradigm, and start all over. This card talks about vanishing mirror, and the subtitle is ego sublimation. Well, that's interesting because this is the number 58 card, and 5 and 8 is 13. 4 in numerology indicates like a foundation, like the 4 corners of, like, most buildings are going to have a 4-cornered foundation, at least to begin with, to build upon. So vanishing mirror, that's like your ego, or your whole idea of yourself, and things that you sort of built yourself on and around. When you get a piece of information that just, like I said, breaks that whole idea, that paradigm, like, it might as well have just been a dream, because you just gotta start all over. And you might find yourself feeling unsettled, unsure what direction you're supposed to be going in. And the next card I pulled was Lost Compass, and the subtitle is Getting Back to Integrity. Here's the illustration. It looks like a compass, I suppose. It also looks like a sundial, and it also looks like a roulette wheel, and it also looks like a ship portal window. And I don't know what these little, there's like coin looking things, which plays into the whole roulette thing. When you don't know where you're going and all you've got is your compass, and you don't even know who you are anymore, you are maybe taking a gamble with whichever direction you choose. But another deck of my cards says that if you like have nowhere to go, then wherever you're going, that's where you're going. Doesn't matter. The number on this card is 35. Oh, well, haha, me dumb. Can't count. 35 is 8. So 8, well, definitely, that in tarot or numerology, 8 comes up as a strength number. You're gonna need some, because it's hard to come back from this kind of, I mean, this would be like a tower moment, you know, like big time, like maybe even a rock bottom. But I mean, really, it kind of is when your ego is shattered and you don't know who you are, and you are starting from nothing. So this, with the roulette theme still going, there's all these little coin looking things sort of in the picture, and it's just like, take a chance, but you have the 8 sort of underlying this message that is giving you some strength to make your way through like this period of unknowing, and I would think like confusion and insecurity, because you're like a new little butterfly. And so the next card is the number 3, and it's benefactor, grace and generosity. And I almost feel like this is a self-help type situation, a be your own benefactor. So the number 3 is generally connected to spirit, and being your own benefactor, you're definitely taking control of your life and directing what is happening, with intent. And to be your own benefactor, you're being, like I said, it's like a self-help, I feel, situation in the context of this reading. And you know what you like, what feels good, how to treat yourself well. These two, I'm sure I've noticed it before, but the little king hamster there is winged. So is he like a hamster fairy? I don't really know. They look so happy. Oh, I guess they're mice, not hamsters. If you're gonna rebuild yourself in your life, why not do something like this? Why not give yourself the best and happiest life that you could possibly hope for? Why wouldn't you? You have the opportunity. The road is wide open. You can literally make your own way. And so this is really kind of pulled me away from the changing the tide of that mega ideology thing. But I would think that once people kind of get past the whole loving of the mega and the mega leader situation, because I don't feel like it's gonna last. I've heard it from a lot of psychic mediums who I give a lot of credence to, but this, I don't think you have to be psychic about. The thrill is gonna wear off, the novelty is gonna wear off of this guy, because eventually something happens to people that they begin to let go of something that they've been holding onto so tightly that it doesn't allow them to see or hear reality. And I'm not saying that they were not seeing a reality, but it's said that you can create your own reality, and we do. We definitely know this, even though we kind of act like we don't. But we know people will say things like, he's in his own world, or he just lives in his world, or it's his world, we just live in it. We'll say stuff like that, and then we'll say we don't believe it. Which is it? I think we not only believe it, but we just know it on a core level. But we've lost our way from that knowing, and that's deliberate. That's something we plan on doing before we even get here, along with all of the planning of the entirety of our existence. But anyway, it would be a shock, I think, and a break with reality to have every hope dashed and find out that this person that you've basically been deifying, don't do that. It's just another dude. Peeps, sweats, poops, bleeds, does all of the human stuff, gets fat, wears makeup to enhance their appearance, because even they are even though they're constantly blaring about how confident and smart and strong and everything else. I really believe there's a little tiny, small, scared person inside that big, tall blabbermouth, that loudmouth, that horn honker voice. You put on a big show for appearances, and it cannot be denied by anyone that that man is not obsessed with appearances and how people are rating your appearance. You know, it's like he's got a type of thing that he puts his attention on. But eventually, like anything, something is going to happen to. I think it's just the passage of time, but I think something is going to happen to like break through that sort of blind faith and love, because it'll just be time for you, like, for them to like catch up with everybody else and move out of that period, because it's a lot of hurtful, harmful energy around all of that ideology. So it's like spending too much time around a nuclear reactor. It's just not good for us. And we have to make the decision ourselves to make things better. And that's really the only way we change anything, is when we make changes in ourselves. That's where change starts. And that can go viral. And that's why reality can go from your own world and your own reality to a shared reality, which is I think it's a common goal. We just have to all decide we want the same reality, and I think we'll get there. And so the final card of those was, now I get the 7, was the Garden of Venus, rest and renewal. Once you release yourself from illusion, you will find that it's almost like it would unlatch a gate of held back emotions and unfelt emotions that, because of the situation that maybe you were in, that caused you to not see and not hear and not feel what everyone in this shared reality was able to see was destructive. You release a lot of stuff that you've been lugging around and carrying, and like carrying heavy water for that guy, like radioactive water just keeps going back to radioactive. But once you free yourself of that, it's like you can rest and renew, get back to yourself. If you have to renew that self, because remember, the ego was shattered and you lost whatever self there was before. I think that is a natural progression, and I think it's a progression that could happen. So, and there's your butterflies. Remember I was talking about, that you're a brand new butterfly, you're starting over, like I was saying. You've gone through the nasty, icky larval stage when you were a worm, and you've become this beautiful new creature that can fly high and sparkle in the light and be light. So this is the 25 card, and that adds up to 7, 2, and 5 does. And that is a number that is also associated with spirit, but it's also a lucky number, a good luck number. And this does not look like a bad place to end up, even if it's metaphorical. It's still beautiful. It's a beautiful idea, It's a nice thought. So, okay, I also pulled some of the Gemstone Whispers deck. Oh, this is not on the box. I was going to say that's what the box looks like, but it isn't. Here's what the box looks like. Oh, I don't know what I'm talking about. I was looking at this part. Again, I don't know what I'm talking about. Oh yeah, I need to warn you. I don't know what I'm talking about. Like, you know, follow me at your own risk. Okay, so I pulled 3 from that deck, and the first one I pulled was lepidolite. Kind of looks like myrrh, except myrrh is yellow, but it also is like those crumbly chunkies. And the subtitle is Clemency. Always forgive your always forgive your enemies. Nothing annoys them so much. Sink. So earlier I was talking to my good friend, and we were talking about coming face to face with negative energies. And they often do in their work because they are a paranormal investigator. And I was saying that I think that you kind of meet that challenge with love, because it kind of just dismantles an evil entity. It screws up an evil person. They are just like, wait, what? You what? And if you just are relentless and you mean it, an evil entity is not going to be able to face that kind of light. They're going to run from it. And so we, got interrupted and he had to go, but I expect we'll have some more talks about that. But it made me think of that. Always forgive your enemies. Nothing annoys them so much. In the case of a ghost or whatever, paranormal entity of some type that is, let's just say, doesn't have your best interest at heart, there's no, you're not going to be able to not be scared. Your body is going to get scared. When you're around something like that, just the atmospheric conditions, there are pressure changes, there's air temperature changes, electrical stuff, magnetic stuff. Our bodies are affected by those things. If you've watched the ghost shows, you've seen the equipment is affected. The batteries get sucked out immediately, and things turn themselves on and off, or like they won't film when they're trying to film something. Like if there's an entity that don't want it, they in their other non-corporeal form, their vibrational form, can penetrate. I don't know if they're riding electricity or magnetism or what, or if it's just the speed of their being, that like the Flash, they can like vibrate through an object. I'm not sure which one of those it is, but they can do that and we cannot. So you can't not get scared, but what you can do, especially if you're like him and you've done it a bunch of times, and he definitely still gets scared, but he just does it anyway. He just keeps going because he just really wants to do it, crazy person. So we were having that discussion, and then I've like run across things a couple of times myself, although I don't go looking for it. I try to stay whatever. I don't like the feeling in particular. But I did learn that if you can keep your head, then you're better off. And so in one of my experiences, it was like I was sitting there, and then I realized that I was being influenced, and this is how I came upon this idea that the way that an entity will scare you if you go to a place that's haunted is, like I said, they can penetrate you too. They can penetrate your consciousness, so they can just find the thing that scares you and then use that against you. And I mean, I really believe that's true. And so when this incident was happening to me, I'm sitting there, and I already did not like this person that was in the room. And I began to feel influence, and I was like, well, there was other things, like there was black stuff growing up in the corner, like some lacy mist. You've heard them talk about it on ghost shows. To me, it looked like lace. But that's just an impression that I matched with what I was seeing. So like we do that with our eyes to translate like objects. Like then our brain goes, it looks like this, and then our brain says, oh, it's this thing. So we also do a similar thing. Anyway, I'm sitting there and I'm noticing, like, wait a minute. Why am I feeling like I should get up and go hit this person? That is freaking ridiculous. And then I was like, oh, it's this thing. And I was arguing with it. I was like, no, I am not going to fight. Knock it off. And it actually kind of worked. Like, it started leaving me alone. But, he often deals with angrier things. Although, I don't know, this thing was supposed to be a demon too. And I just never really thought that that was the case. I thought it was an elemental that was like, you know, sick of human activity on its land and stuff. And then also I think like it just had the ability to know that it could mess with us, and it did, you know? So, anyway, I just really rambled a long time about that. But, you know, it holds true for people too. If you meet someone and they want to be disagreeable with you, you could you could respond in kind, or you could respond kindly. And that just sort of disarms people. Like, if they just want to be screaming and yelling and attacking you, and you just don't play back, it don't work really, you know? So the next card I pulled was fluorite. Fluorite. Although these look different than mine. There's always many kinds of a stone. The subtitle is Victory. I came, I saw, I conquered. You know something? If you can like get through like the whole mega thing and then like pull yourself out of it, turn your own personal tide, I think that's big, because I feel like those people are kind of going against flow, you know? Like, flow is gentle, flow is pleasurable, flow is nice. Anti-flow, going against the flow, is discordant, it's ugly, it's uncomfortable. I suppose that sort of stuff has its place, but it's not good. It's not fun. So, to come through that intact, and, you know, if you become your, where'd they go? Your own benefactor too, this happy person that goes out of that unhappy, angry, aggressive, everybody did something to you state of mind. When you start treating yourself better, you feel good. When you do the things you like to do and give yourselves the things that you enjoy having, your mood picks up. And then people want to be around a happy mood person. It's just how humans are. Oh, there they are right there. We love that. We're drawn to it. So, it's a victory, you know, to pull yourself out of sort of negativity and darkness and move into a more progressive, happier, lighter state of being. That's a victory. You came, you saw some stuff, and you saw a better way, and you conquered the previous stuff. Fluorite. The last one of the gem cards I pulled was Zircon. I don't think I've seen an amber one, if that's what that color is, but not that I'm like, I have some stones and rocks. I'm not like a geologist. I have no qualifications. I'm just a wild card. So the subtitle of this one is Memories. Memories warm you up from the inside, but they also tear you apart. Love will tear us apart, but it'll also put us back together. So there. Yeah. I think there's some kind of light play happening. Because you see there's like this sort of spear of light coming down onto here. That's not a natural light. And then it's like in the stone. Like, I don't know if this has been tinted or... Again, I'm not a geologist, but this right here is not geology. Although it is like, well, it's turquoisey, but memories warn me from the inside. I feel like that's the key part thing. It's true that they can't tear you apart, but I really want to stay away from that, if at all possible. In fact, I think we all would do better if we didn't dwell on old stuff that... Well, it's the stuff we never get over because we never stop dwelling on it. And I'm an expert. Still trying to undwell some stuff. And then I pulled some angel number cards from the lovely angel number card deck. One moment. I gotta wet my whistle. Ow! Ow! My fake teeth are moving around. I don't use the glue. The glue is nasty. I can taste it in my food. You can taste it for hours after you don't have it in your mouth anymore. It's gross. It's a forever chemical. I don't know that for sure. That it's I don't know for sure that it's a forever chemical. Just please ignore. So, okay. First I pulled these two cards, and then, well, first I pulled this one. And it's the 0404. The subtitle is Slow Down. I've been hearing that a lot, and I tell you, I've been wanting to jump out of my skin to do everything. I wanted to, every day now, I just want to hurry up and get the cat fed and get dressed and do my morning stuff and get out the door quick before my volunteer job starts happening. And no, I can't do anything fast since I've been in this wheelchair. Can't move around the house fast. You know, along with the wheelchair comes some physical deficits, so everything takes forever. I am slowed down. Maybe not in my head, because I'm extra super. I want to go faster, and everything lately has been conspiring to slow me down. I'm coming out of it because my injuries are not so severe that I can't go out and ride one of my cycles in the daytime, and that's good. And also, I'm not like out of commission for 2 or 3 days like I had been for months, so I must be building up some strength. Whatever, I don't want to like just keep talking about that. But for a while it was injury, or else the vehicle was broken down. Like, it was always something that was preventing me from going out. Now, I can go out in my wheelchair, but the problem is using the wheelchair is what has screwed up my shoulder, why I'm always like all the time with the hurting. That's what it's from. Okay, now I just wasted a bunch of time telling you that. You're welcome. Here's the paragraph. Pay close attention to the people in your life, your surroundings, and your physical health. Don't freak out. It's just a warning to be careful and awake to avoid any further issues. Communicate clearly and keep healthy boundaries. Well, all good advice in wake of what I was just saying, you know, like, there was, I think, a first day of the Republican convention where the gun people were not, like, it was an open carry outside of the event. I mean, isn't everywhere an open carry? Never mind. It was outside the event where there's open carry, and then inside the event, no guns allowed. The gun people didn't want guns everywhere, but they love guns. So That actually did not go over with some people very well. Um, and that goes back to the turning the tide thing, but you want to pay close attention to the people in your life and your surroundings. What with the possibility of a shooter event happening, an active event happening, you just have to be cautious all the time. And it does you no good, seriously, to freak out. Like, just like after 9/11, everybody didn't know where to go. Should we run under a table or what, And it's like, just, boy, that's a real stay in the moment time, so you don't just, like, lose it and let your mind go skirling off into, hysteria. So here are the keywords. Balance, you need it. Like your four corners, your foundation will hold you down. Power struggle, right or left, that is a big fat power struggle. Force and violence is the next one. Those two keep appearing whether we want them or not, because that's how force and violence work. But like I said, all of that stuff is eventually gonna, like, wear off, the appeal, and that gives me hope. And then once you realize that the thing that you were so into really is kind of bad, and everything you thought something was has completely been revealed to be another thing altogether, you can only go up, hopeful, from there, from finding out, like, oh my god, I was completely wrong about this, it's terrible. You can only go up. Authority, ancestors, I feel like those two go together, but I feel like one advises the other. Restlessness, it leads us into problems. It leads us into situations where we don't pay a whole lot of close attention to what we're getting into. Hence, pay close attention to the people in your life and your surroundings. Are they leading you down a bad road? Finally, low vibrations warning. I mean, my gosh, that is talking about, I feel like, Saturday, the day of the event, last Saturday. The next card I pulled was 0505. Fives for the change. Unexpected shift. That immediately made me think of, like, the example of Joe Scarborough. Realizing, like, oh my god, this is a mess. I don't want to be associated with this so-called politician person. I don't want to be associated with these people that are, like, throwing away every moral they ever had to get in line behind a guy that, well, they don't like. And then what does that say about them as people? Like, I don't want to get behind you. You, like, are crummy. That's just my opinion. Okay, so, unexpected shift is the subtitle. You got your fives. Double five for the double change-o. Ay, ay, ay. This number, that's what it really says. Ay, ay, ay. This number serves as a gentle nudge to pursue whatever interests you the most. It's possible that something could rock your boat, but you'll end up exactly where you belong, which could be in somebody's arms. Well, don't put any spaces in there or anything. In somebody's arms, your dream job, or abroad. So, just imagine if you just, like, break free from... I feel like it's got to be a constricting situation, because there are expectations in the way that you're supposed to behave. Like, some things are okay to say, and then some things really are not. Like, you can get banished if you look even the slightest bit Democrat if you're a MAGA. Like, you'd be gone so fast. It hasn't happened to me personally. It couldn't. I'm neither of those things, but you hear about it. The keywords, divine intervention. I feel like there needs to be, well, there is divine intervention actually happening, but it has been actually for years. But the way that the help has to come, it's like, it's almost like you think the help is a vampire. You have to invite it in because it won't assert itself upon you. It won't force itself upon you, which is good. That's something that leads to Me Too problems. Like, force is rarely called for. So, okay. Divine intervention, sudden challenges. Hey, you know what I was saying? Lots of debris in the water. You gotta go boneless and just like, don't even try to conform. Just let the water shape you. Let the flow shape you. Don't fight it. You'll be going against the flow. You're gonna end up with a snoot full of water you did not want. That's what happens when you do your legs wrong at the water slide. Shut up. I have a problem. I couldn't help it. Love. You know, that can also be challenging. And not even in the part where you're like in the relationship, just like the going through, like, oh my goodness, all these emotions are happening, and all these like chemicals and pheromones and things are all happening inside the body, and pleasant surprises. Gut feeling. You got to go with your gut, and that's when you make the personal change that becomes something that other people notice and go, wait a minute, what's going on with this person? They're looking pretty good, like they're feeling pretty good and having a good time, and I want me some of that. And people will want to follow somebody else again. But this is different. This is not leading you down a road of, you know, violence and revenge and, you know, just constantly being mad and aggrieved about, like, somebody did something to you and this is happening because of somebody else. Well, you know what? You don't have to live like that. You can take your own piece of whatever it is and do it your own way. Like, we're really not locked into a whole lot here. We really have the power to change our reality. We do. And you know, it's not, if it's not satisfactory and it's not changing fast enough, you can't really blame other people if your reality is not like set up right. You know, if it's not tuned into the right reality station, who's in charge of it? Not everybody else. Whose life is it? You and yours. So, I would love to see the dramatic shift from that. It just is a lot of anxiety and pressure on everybody else, because I hear a lot of, like, the gun people, like, they're so worried someone's going to come after them and something's going to happen to them, and they're, like, all armed and they're angry and they're ready to go and get somebody. It's just like, yeah, we're not doing that over here. On the other side. And it's a relief. Like, you might want to release that and go back into the flow where you don't have to, you're so like without responsibility that you don't even have to have like hardness to your bones. You can just become one with the water, and you don't have to conform to anything, anybody's expectations except your own, ever, really. So the next card I pulled was 111, Intuition. Again, that is you. That's all about you, like what you feel, and you know, it's your senses definitely affect how you feel, but it's also your detector, your bullshit detector, your danger detector. And also, I feel like the word itself means knowing. You know, you know it, but you know it through your feeling because you sense it, which is your truest barometer of what is happening to you. So I'm going to read from the, got 3 again if you add those up. The ones. Time to implement, here's the paragraph. Time to implement long cherished ideas. You're on the right track toward making your dreams and visions a reality. The right people, circumstances, and resources are being sent your way. Happiness and new opportunities are at hand. Trust in the process. So 111 in numerology is represents a new beginning, a new start, and it does talk about that here. New opportunities and happiness are at hand. The right people, circumstances, and resources are being sent your way, because you were starting all over from this. You remade yourself, you remade your mind, so you're thinking, because you broke free of the illusion in the mirror. Remember, what is it, Snow White? I think it's Snow White. Yeah, that had the queen in the mirror. The mirror over the years, well, it wasn't as funny when I was a kid. It didn't have as much snark. I don't even know what I'm thinking about, but something recently, I think it was a new animated, a clip of a new animated Snow White or something, but well, I don't know how new it is. I don't have kids, so I don't know like all of the generations of the Disney stuff. But I don't remember the mirror dude cracking me up as much as the last time. Like, he was totally getting bazingas on the witch, and she was just all, oh, they didn't get it. But you gotta be careful, because she could just throw that mirror on the floor. Anyway, let me get out of cartoon world. Intuition. Okay, it's talking about it. Moderation, patience, flow, clarity, joy, movement. I suppose it could be physical, but I feel like it's in your life, in your thinking about yourself and your surroundings. Self-realization. I feel like your intuition is not clear if you don't have some self-awareness. And I don't think that self-awareness or self-realization is something that you come to only once in your life, since the world is constantly in flux, and we are constantly in flux as a result, I suppose. Like, a new beginning can happen like any moment. Like, you could change your mind and change your life, you know, or maybe you don't. But you might. You just may not have perceived that was what was happening when it's happened to you. But all of these things, it's not like any like secret special magic of my own. I talk about stuff that happens to everybody. Like, I'm pretty sure. Okay. Gonna move on to the final card here, and this is what was I talking about with the compass and the roulette and the number 7, the lucky number, also a spirit number associated with spirit, but to the common folk mainly it's known as the lucky number. So the subtitle on this card is good luck, contentment, prosperity, abundance. The result of good luck, like your ship came in, everything is golden. Literally, your life, your wife. Sorry, did you catch that? Because my teeth slipped. Your wife, my wife. I'll stop. I just blew it so many times. And the final keywords are divine intervention. Well, I guess that's the luck part, isn't it? Like, it's kind of, I think we all know, like, it's not us that makes the luck happen. I mean, maybe it is on a certain level, but let's just keep it in the colloquial. Everybody knows that, luck. You pray for good luck, You pray for that thing you need so much or that you want so much. And I really think that's how a lot of things that are miraculous or amazing that happen for us, we definitely have a hand in it, but things being the way they are with our consciousness at the level that it is compared to what it could be and what it has been when we're not here, from what I understand, there's just an immense gap. So we need a little touch. We need a little help. We need a little nudge from the hand of God when it comes to a lot of things, and I feel pretty sure luck is one of them. And it's not something that's just freely dispensed like it's nothing. Too big a subject to go on, but let's just say that I think that there is a bit of the fingerprint of spirit when it comes to luck happening. And I'll read the paragraph now. This message is most likely to reach you during intense uncertainty. That is a now period. Boy, howdy. You'll come out winning from everything that may come your way. I'll take it. And actually I have. I've certainly had that experience lately. I've gotten upset a few times. I've felt a lot of frustration. A lot of it is my personality, but it is, I think, triggered by a lot of the empathic stuff that I'm feeling. I'll be fine, and then I'll start feeling some kind of way out of nowhere, and I've started to recognize now, like, oh, okay, this is not mine. This is something else that came sailing by to get stuck on me. Some kind of anger, some kind of frustration, some kind of sadness. That's the strangest one, because I don't know, like, I think it tunes in like the spirit, like tuning in on, it knows like what's gonna scare you, and maybe it's grown adept at working that in people, or maybe they were like that in life. 2 layers of skill for that pesky ghost, but I lost whatever I was saying. Yeah, you hate when that happens. Darn it. Oh, uncertainty. Yeah, like in this period that we're in right now, we can all use a little luck. I think we just always can, even if we're not hurting. It just feels good to have good luck, to have a win out of nowhere. It just buoys you up. It's a boost. It's fun. You'll come out winning from everything that may come your way. It's also a sign that you'll have much life experience and wisdom to share, yet you'll need enthusiasm and effort to get this message to others. Well, see, that's interesting, because that last bit, you'll need enthusiasm and effort to get this message to others. I don't know if that's strictly true. When people see you having good luck, I know, like, people will sometimes ask, I've heard it done, how do you have such good luck? And I don't know that it's an easily answerable question, because, like I said, I feel like there's a factor of, like, fate and spirit involved, which you can call on it and it'll definitely answer and respond to you, but it may not do it instantaneously, which is why it may seem like you can pray and pray and pray and ask and ask and ask for something, and if you get obsessive about it, you'll like deflect it away. So there's that, but also, there's, everything has like divine timing, and so like I said, you could ask and you may think nothing's happening, but because of like divine timing, or maybe you start doubting the reality of it, and then that'll make it take longer because you have to get back to that state of mind where you have that faith and belief that, you know, whatever you need is going to come your way. Whichever people that are going to be most helpful to what you need are going to come your way. And I don't mean you get on like LinkedIn or something and hunt down someone. I mean like divine providence, like something just shows up unexpectedly to like make it work, just the thing that you need, the person, you know, it works out, like your good luck comes through. Oh my goodness. Wow. Would I have more? Okay, I'm gonna pull another angel card. Seems like I have something else to say. Whoa. Okay, now don't do that. I've dropped this, so slippery. Something more, okay. Something more to say about the luck. Let's see what we got here. Give me a second. I pulled the 1331 card. Good fortune. I guess there was something more to say about the good luck. The keywords are advice, comfort, major change, individuality, independence. Okay, so advice, I'm thinking it's just like what I just said about when you want something really bad, you can wait, like I talked about ways you can sort of delay it getting to you, like deflect it temporarily. And then also there are ways where it's you can draw it to you by your attitude and your behavior. And that's I want to finish the thought on the previous card, the good luck card, where it was saying you'll need enthusiasm and effort to get this message to others. That makes it sound like you got to do a bunch of work to get people to notice. And what I started to say and didn't was that I've heard many times from various sort of speakers of spirit, like different kinds of channelers of the messages, saying that when you like do the self-love, that makes you, and I talked about it earlier, that makes you more attractive to others. That makes you noticeable to other people. And if you're successful and you're happy and you look good when you're doing it, because that happens, people are attracted to you and they want to know what you're doing, and they, you know, even if you can't say I didn't do anything, they'll still want to like watch you and observe you and just try and see, like, how did you do that? Like, I want to learn what you're doing. And that's good, you know. That's kind of what you want generally in life. Like, if you're going to have an effect on others in life and be an influence, you want to be a good one, I hope. And I feel like this influence, this luck, talks about individuality and independence, and that's something that I think some people have to grow into. I was just sort of, by circumstance, my upbringing just sort of made that a thing, like it was just a necessity, you know. When you're left alone a lot, you gotta figure yourself out, you gotta figure stuff out. You know, like one time I was about, I think I was 10 or 11, and we had moved from what's Koreatown now to West Hollywood, and I wanted to take the bus on the weekends to go back to this activity center where all of the people I knew were, and because I didn't know anybody in the new place we had moved to. And my mom like rode me down there a couple of times, and then got on the bus and came home, and made sure I knew how to get back home. But then like the third weekend she wouldn't go, and she was all, "You better figure it out yourself if you want to go down there." So I was like, okay, I guess I better. So I did that. I just like nutted up and got on that bus by myself and was unsure until I got like in the area where we used to live and in the area where I wanted to go, and I was like, okay. And then she had taken me a couple of times, so I did have to build that independence, yes. And I did have to, well, individuality, I think that comes from inside of us. But things are enacted or triggered or switched on inside of us often when something outside of us creates that action. And it's not always a bad thing. Like trigger, it has negative connotations, like it's on a gun. And then people will talk about like being physically affected or emotionally affected, triggered, like it's bad, but or they'll make fun of you because you get like a feeling about something, like some kind of emotion or whatever. And I don't know, what are you just jealous because you don't have a fun or you don't have an emotion, or like what's your problem? Why does it have to be, oh, you're triggered? How do you know it's bad? Maybe it's not bad. Weirdo. Anyway, totally sidetracked. So the key words were advice, comfort, major change, the move, comfort. Well, I was comfortable until we moved. And the advice I got in that situation, I already told you, figure it out. So the paragraph reads, have you faith in your skills and talents? Well, I didn't the first couple of times. I just said that. As a tool, they can provide, have faith in your skills and talents, as they are a tool that can provide you with a bright future, a piece of good advice, a moment of enlightenment, or a comforting message is on its way on the bus and it knows where it's going. Everything will work out in your favor. And you know what? Things almost always do. It doesn't have to be like good luck at the dang casino, but I know that, especially after feeling like I got totally yelled at about it, I felt pretty dang accomplished when I went on that bus ride, and it seemed like a long way at the time, and back. Like, I thought I was a pretty big deal. And you know what I got when I got home? She let me have ice cream. Woohoo! Good fortune. So, I guess the reason why I just was saying that about all of those experiences is because we have them. We have all these illustrations in our life of all of these things that, like I talked about today or have talked about on other occasions. And you get all kinds of influences and help and ideas and difficulties and like the whole shebang. You get it all the time, everybody, everywhere. So I guess that's why I do so much of the relating of the personal stuff, so that you can in turn relate to the fact that, oh, your personal stuff also does stuff and has stuff to say that's like you can decipher those messages. They're only going to come from inside of you, going to you. So it's all about you until you start talking about it and letting it outside of you. Okay, what am I shuffling these for? I wanted to put them away. Oh, I guess I'm done. So no, I'm not. Or am I? Oh God, I hope that wasn't my cat. I just want to reiterate the point that it seems like maybe the tide is turning. And I have talked about, like, my neighbor I keep looking to see, because they had this fuck Biden flag, huge one in front of their house. And it just came down last week, and I thought maybe they moved. And there was a garage sale signs, and it was on the corner, but it wasn't for their address. And like, there's all these things where I'm thinking, but they love Trump and they hate Biden. They have to be. That's why they took down the flag. But no, they're just still living there. So I'm like, did the tide turn there? I wonder what did it. I wonder what thing was their final straw with that. I mean, that car was the size of like a Volkswagen Beetle. It's huge. Yeah. And well, that shooter in the attempt, apparently he lost faith in whatever the Trump thing was. So terrible way to like register your disapproval. Use your words, for God's sake. It's less messy, you know. Like, I put these in here upside down. I did. Did I didn't. Again, I don't know what I'm doing. Oh dear, it's gonna start dinging. Okay, so yeah, I think maybe people might be starting to see that emperor is sweaty, fat, orange, and streaky and naked. Thank you and good night.